Oh no. Oh no. This asshole. We let this guy back in here. Oh god, it's been a year, but Dullahan is back. Jeez, this is gonna suck. In any event, I am Bl'Art, and this is the second official 6 Warrior quest. We're starting off with some fancy tech, because we got Kimahri with the Lunafreya LD call, bringing in the clutch. I guess this is cheese. I guess you could just, as far as defining this is straight up a cheese strat. So enjoy. If you're looking for a nice, cozy, comfy way to beat this fight, this is a solid way to do it. And doesn't require all the pieces I'm using. This is just my own personal spin on it. Because we're using X Death in order to facilitate Penelo doing a whole lot of spinning. We're also going to go ahead and send Kane into the sky after he uses Raijin Call. So the two of them, X Death and Kane, will be doing all sorts of nice off-turn damage while Penelo charges our EX. Wrong gauge, force bar, force gauge. So many gauges in this game. Some kind of aesthetic, I guess. But yeah, Dullahan. The last time we saw him was in Abyss. And also that story chapter fight with Yuffie, but we don't talk about that. And he is an asshole. We hate him so much. The whale's there too. We don't care about the whale. But yeah, he's back and he's got new tricks, and they're rough. Because you see a lot of thresholds on both those guys. The whale actually is very simple. Every other threshold, right now he isn't in it. When he passes the 80% threshold and so on and so forth, he reverses your healing like the parrots in Transcendence 2, that's a blast from the past. Kind of wild that they finally brought that back. Good for them. Dullahan is a trickier beast to tame because each of his stances, so to speak, do something. Right now, he's in the turns off your battery and HP poison auras you stance, and that's frustrating. Sorry, Iroha. In the other stance, I guess this also is sucky for Ursula, but in the other stance, he will counterattack enemy HP damage he gets with a big hit called Ruin Holy, I think, which applies Ruin, the debuff, to you, and that means you're basically going to be delaying yourself every time you act, and that sucks. There's a lot of that going around. However, having explained all those bits and pieces, we don't care, because Kimahri is here, or he was here. He's not here anymore. And he's gonna give us the hookup. He got us his sweet EX Nova debuff, the total blindness, and now Terra, Young, and Kane are gonna go to town. Because the thing about this fight, the key piece here, they made it launch and paralyze immune. Technically, they're not immune to all forms of disable, to, RCL or something like that. So Camelot works here. He just isn't broken here like he normally is. He's just really good here. But in this case, with the total blindness, they don't actually have any guaranteed hit, it turns out. The debuffs will pierce debuff immunity if the attack hits, I believe, is how... The way it's worded, that's what I believe happens. But as you can see here, nothing. Worth noting also, in addition to the counterattack, Dullahan also has a threshold attack whenever he goes into the counter stance, which freezes you, paralyzes you, applies the... freezes you until he acts, paralyzes you for a turn, so you have to take a turn and can't act, applies that the numb effect, and I believe also reduces your buffs, like the duration of them, which is almost worse than to Dispel in some ways, because, like, for instance, with Yang, the timing of his initial rotation timing is actually a little tight, and so he can very quickly get rid of your, he can accidentally, suddenly find yourself, oh wow, I'm out of LD buff, how'd that happen? Or eat a bunch of Terra LD buffs or something like that. So it can be really frustrating. But again, as we're saying, Kimahri just kind of punks him. You could also use Edge if you want for, just kind of dodging everything, although then you'd have to stay in the party the whole time. You can also use, I guess, Irvine or Vaughn if you want to live dangerously, but that's going to suck. Fun fact, by the way, about the blind. Young actually keeps winning because he also counterattacks when he dodges. And so you'll see here, every time Dullahan counters, Young dodges, and then hits back with a force time fueled counterattack. You love to see it. Goodness gracious, I really underestimated how good Young is. With those cool oven mittens he's wearing. Looks so cute. So, as mentioned, most of the threat in this fight is the Dullahan, aside from that like healing aura thing being kind of a pain. So, my prioritization in this is to get rid of him as quickly as possible, which is why we're using Terra, our single target expert, along with, I guess, a bunch of AoE from Kain and Young, but there we go, misses again. Idiot. Absolute fool, trying to freeze us with your absolute zero, whatever you call it. Can't even... You couldn't freeze a program on a computer. I actually have no idea if that's a good insult or not, it just kind of came out. But anyway, yeah, Dullahan, kind of dumb. I will say that if you're not, cheesing him with blind or something, or just like blowing him up with Tidus or whatnot, a lot of moving pieces and challenge to deal with, I think. Which is why I decided I'm not dealing with that right now. It's funny, actually, because the last time we fought Dullahan, I also used a similar kind of lockdown strategy, in that case using Arciella, along with some nifty tricks to meet the restrictive orb that it had. Good times, good memories. So I did actually make a pretty funny goof up. Well, a couple of funny goof ups. You'll see there, I accidentally forgot that Penello's EX healed, and so Young and Penello are now in a rough spot. I never actually checked the HP requirement for the stage. I just kind of was like, oh, well, 2 of my guys at 1, that won't do. Terra's at 1 too, 1 as well. And so there's no way that's going to fly as far as the HP requirement goes. I'm just going to have to make sure everyone's at full health by the end of the stage, just to be on the safe side. I want to just make sure that I'm not going to run afoul of the HP requirement. And so you're going to be seeing some awkward jiggery pokery. Especially now that Dullahan's dead, as we try to kill this stupid whale. We're charging our force time, and I could have, in theory, maybe... I'm realizing now what I should have done is swapped in X-Death, swapped out Young for Penello, and done it that way in order to get the BT effect to add to the damage that we're doling out. Unfortunately, I didn't do that, so that's just, honestly, that's probably a couple million in true damage that we missed out on, which is kind of sad, but we'll get over it, I guess, somehow. So now, finally bringing X-Death, realizing, oh, I should have done that. Which was actually, again, kind of a dumb misplay. At this point, I'll be honest, at this point, the hit point thing and the fact that Dullahan's dead has me playing all sorts of sloppy. I don't really care, it's okay, it's done, it's basically over. I just need to not accidentally, forget the heal before we hit the, before we hit the end of the fight. Geniusly, which is a word apparently, my only sources of burst healing are this call here, Lilithset, a couple of calls we've already used, such as Raijin, and Kimari. So we're going to go ahead and bring in Yang. And this whole fiasco is costing me the heavy prayer that Lunafreya put on both Kain and Yang, which was nice to have the entire fight. That's a pretty solid increase in damage, even if it doesn't scale with force time. It's kind of sad that it's gone. Speaking of force time, the enemy force time, it does nothing. They enchant ice, and I think they imperil you, and so they hit your brave harder, I guess. Really, all this does is screw over Leon, who comes on the next banner, which is kind of funny. It's not often that they screw over usually a future character helps with the previous fight, so it's, I guess, more Leon copium that he is getting shut out by this force time or something. Just seems so weird and arbitrary. Anyway, we've done a bunch of jiggery poker and finally checked the HP requirement and realized, wait a second, it's like 35,000 hit points or something like that. It's actually really generous. I actually double-checked to make sure that I didn't read it wrong. So yeah, we are fine. It doesn't matter that Terra's at 1 hit point. We are golden between the 6 people we have on this team. You can see how, especially if you're splitting the damage evenly, it can be a little testy, because it's very hard to maintain health between the HP poison and the anti-healing aura. There are a lot of FRs that I think get a little messed up by this fight, Ursula and Iroha just spring to mind. Charlotta too, because they turn off battery. Just a lot of stuff like that. But anyway, wasn't our problem. We cheesed it. Thanks, Kimari. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Adios.